So you represent New Orleans East.
Mm-hmm.
And another topic of conversation has been New Orleans East has been in decline. You've been on the council now 3.5 years. Yeah. Respond directly to someone who would say he hasn't done enough in New Orleans East in the time that he's been on the council.
New Orleans East is part of the conversation now. I have never seen a mayor's race or a citywide race or public attention given to New Orleans East like it has now. And I did that intentionally. I wrote a piece a couple of years ago to break the stereotype. We had over some million people read that about how unfair it was to stereotype that strong African-American community. We're leading in violent crime reduction right now. Let's celebrate that. We have Six Flags. Finally, it's not just a thought, there's a lease. Now it's up to the developer to move forward. Alvin Ross Studios has a lease with the developer. Lincoln Beach was a thought. They would come on my show to talk about Lincoln Beach. The 3.5 years I've been there, there's a strategic development plan, and it's funded. The Super Bowl, for the first time, had their Nike experience where? In New Orleans East. Now, we can always talk about what we don't have, but the thing that I've done is I've positioned New Orleans East for the explosion that when I'm mayor, an economic development office, where? In New Orleans East. Special taxing district incentive programs, which is what mayors do in New Orleans East.
You just said something. That's what mayors do, right?
Correct.
And so there's limitations between what you can do as a council member and what someone can do as a mayor. And I think that that's important to unpack a little bit because we as a community listen to certain voices who are trying to create a narrative.
Great.
And I'm somebody from North Baton Rouge, right? And so North Baton Rouge has had historically negative narratives. One of the things that I've consistently said is you can't talk about my community as a liability when we have all of these assets and then expect investment to happen in our community. If the narrative is discussing the liabilities of the community, that's an intentional narrative.
Well, we're on the same page there. I tell folk that how can you want the sun to shine when you keep walking around with an umbrella and waiting for rain? So at some point, we need to build on our assets. But the other thing is...
Tell me about those assets.
27 subdivisions of the highest African-American earners of any municipal district in this region, 7,000 acres of developable business park, 9.5 miles of waterway, 5 of those 9 miles of beachfront, 2 of the busiest waterways in North America, the intercoastal and the industrial. They feed the 33-state tributary system. America can't survive without it. The largest wildlife refuge in North America, 340 bird species. So if birding is a $1 billion industry around the world, we got the largest migratory period out in New Orleans East. Why can't we expand that? Ecotourism is part of our economic footprint. We're building on assets. We cannot continue to build on negatives. New Orleans East is an asset. Go East, young man. And especially when I put an economic development office in New Orleans East, that's where the growth has to be. First of all, New Orleans can't be whole without one of its largest communities being an afterthought. Can't be. Can't be whole with half.